Shalom. All praises to the Heavenly Father, Anguilla. Praise be to the earthly mother, the Pacha Mama, and all of her earthly angels, their Kadeshue. Praise be to the Holy Spirit, the Kahe, in the name of his only begotten Son, Motsah the Lamb, unification to the nation. So, while I have some time, I'm trying to release some information. So, hey, this is another hard hitter, in my opinion. I think this is going to answer a lot of questions. And I'm going to try my best because I have a lot of stuff on my mind right now. So I'm going to try my best to be as coherent as possible, so please bear with me. It's not an excuse for any potential bad presentation, just bear with me. So let's recap on this series. In the first video that I did on this series, I was talking about how ancient Egypt was potentially a land called Tierra del Fuego on the map of Terra Australis Incognita, which depicts Antarctica connected to South America. And pretty much in Pearl of a Great Price, it says that the land of Egypt was cursed with heat forever. And now I don't necessarily think it is literally the land right beneath South America. I do believe I was on the right track. So in this video we speak on Pearl of a Great Price, and the next one we speak on how Antarctica actually resembled a Amazon rainforest. And what didn't click with me is that Australia also was a rainforest. But something happened to the two lands where Australia, the majority of it is now barren, and Antarctica is now frozen. So that's not a connection that I made, but they also found elongated skulls in Antarctica. So the plot thickens pretty much. Then we spoke on Lemuria, and I'm kind of getting that wrong because, I got that wrong because the land that is beneath India was not Lemuria, it was Kumari Kingdom. Lemuria is a land that was sunken in the Pacific that is also known as Pan or Waga, and it was where I believe to be the land that was the location of the Garden of Eden. So, that's also a thing. We'll probably touch a little bit more on that when we dig on the Aryans. Now, I made this video right here. This is, I was on the right track, but I was also wrong because I thought that Mu, this land that was sunk in the Pacific, was actually Mesopotamia. Now, that wasn't actually a bad guess, but it wasn't Mesopotamia. It was, but the reason why I was on the right track is because the people who left Mu were the people who started Mesopotamia, or Sumer. And then we had this video where I speak on how Egypt, Babylon, and Mesopotamia were pretty much around the same place. But according to scholars, that's not the case. And it really is because they're trying to hide where Egypt really was. See, the location of Egypt is probably the most important. It's not necessarily the location of Babylon or Mesopotamia, it's the location of Egypt. That is probably the most important piece of the puzzle, because everything else kind of revolves around Egypt as well as the land of Canaan or Israel. When you have those two down, you kind of can figure out where everything else is. Then we spoke on Shambhala, on how it is possibly in Antarctica, and I have to really dig on that again because there's definitely some truth to this. To give you a spoiler, I haven't done any real research on it, but I've just been pondering on it. Was Mount Ararat actually in Antarctica? Now, I've approached this kind of before, where I've said that everyone came out of Antarctica. I don't remember if I said that the Ark landed in Antarctica, but it makes a lot of sense. Now, I have some stuff to back that up, but I still have a lot of stuff to do. So, in the future. Then we spoke on the location of the Reed Sea, not the Red Sea, and we're going to touch on that again in this video. And I think this was a very good guess. I wouldn't be surprised if I was right on this. And then we spoke on the Egyptian Hyksos kingdom. So you can see that I'm kind of getting closer. I'm kind of getting warmer. And we spoke on Australia's inland sea and the Thebes River. This was also very close. Then we spoke on the center of the world, vortexes and ley lines. Hey, this all is leading up to something. But you can see how the Most High has been, slowly getting me to look in this direction. Now, we're going to go over the two concepts of Upper and Lower Egypt. Now, in ancient Egypt, we're starting right here. In ancient Egypt, Upper Egypt was known as this right here. And look what this means. Literally, the land of reeds, or the Sedgeland, right? And what we're going to read is that Upper Egypt was associated with the kings of Egypt. And also, when it comes to Upper and Lower Egypt, they're kind of reversed in the way of the Upper Egypt is beneath Lower Egypt. So Upper Egypt is to the south, and Lower Egypt is to the north. Remember that. Lower Egypt is the northernmost region of Egypt, right? Let's go to here. The ancient Egyptian Lower Egypt was known as MHW and means north. Later on, during antiquity and the Middle Ages, and Greeks, Romans called it this, or Egyptus inferior, meaning Lower Egypt. And what is the capital of this Lower Egypt? Memphis. So, to give you some spoilers on what I'm pretty much saying, I'm saying that this, pretty much the east coast of the Americas, really all of the North America and Central America, I'm kind of saying that this was Lower Egypt. And going from South America down to Australia, that was Upper Egypt. So why am I saying that? Just based on how it's described. Solely based on how it's described, Upper Egypt is called the land of reeds, or the Sedgeland. Lower Egypt, it has to do with Memphis, and it also means the Northland. So that's definitely something to note. Now, when we get to the Yam Suf, and I've spoken on this concept so many times, but this is the real name of the quote-unquote Red Sea. It's really the Reed Sea. So that means that the landscape that they crossed, that the ancient Israelites crossed, must have been some sort of swampy reed sea or landscape, or something of the sort, right? Something akin to the Amazon. Now, was it literally the Amazon? I don't know. But I don't think so. I think it was somewhere else that was similar to the Amazon. So, now that we've gotten that down, let's look up what is a Sedgeland, right? Because I looked that up, and I was pretty shocked at the results that I found. This is why I say what I say about northern and southern Egypt, because just looking up Sedgeland's locations map, or it's just Sedgeland's, I'm led to here. This is a map of Australia. It takes me to Australia. Why? I don't know. I don't really know. So that's one, right? That's one result. This is Norway up here, right? This result gives me Norway. This gives me Australia. Let's go to the next one. What does the next one give me? Another place in Australia. It's sending me to Australia again. So that's 2 for Australia, 1 for Norway. Let's get the third one. Australian National Botanic Gardens. Other grasslands, herblands, sedgelands, and rushlands, Australia. So that's 3. 3 for Australia, 1 for Norway. Let's go to the next one. This is sending me to Tasmania, which is in Australia. That's 4. Right? Let's get another one. This is another link to Australia. That's 5. What's this? Tasmania. That's 6. What's this? Where is this actually? I don't even know. So let's click on it. Let's see where it takes us. Southeastern Australia. Interesting. Got a lot of tabs open, so the computer is going to run kind of slow, so please be patient. Okay, hopefully I'm able to actually, okay. So, as you can see, we're only getting results of Australia. And I look through almost all of these, almost every single one of these directs me to Australia in some sort of way. And all I did, all I did was Google Sedgelands. That's all I did. So, what is this telling me? I'm not sure what it's saying. But could this mean that this has the most prevalent amount of sedgelands that are locatable? Locatable? I don't know. But I just find that interesting for Upper Egypt. Upper Egypt, right? I'm going slow for a reason. So this right here, the Cyper Rock CA, I don't know, but this is a flowering plant also known as sedges, right? So these are also known as sedges. And what are they? These species are widely distributed with the centers of diversity for the group occurring in tropical Asia and tropical South America. Tropical Asia and tropical South America. These are sedges. All I did was look it up, man. Let's continue. Yeah, again, it keeps directing me to Australia every time I try to research excuse me, into sedge lands. Right? This is what the Egyptologists have said, that these were described as sedge lands. Upper Egypt. Right? I don't remember what this is. call this true sedges. Okay. But these are mainly in marshlands and things of the sort. Swamp, marsh lands, which also are places that reeds can grow. Now, let's look into the different deserts that are in the world. Because after the Israelites left Egypt, they trekked across the desert of Shur, or Tsur. And in Hebrew, that means sharp rocks. So they must have crossed through a desert of sharp rocks. And they did it for 3 days, and then they found no water, if you guys remember the story. But I want you guys to pay attention to the various deserts that are pretty much around the world. But the one I want you to focus on is the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert is very particular. There really isn't a desert like it because of its its volume and how large it is. And if you guys remember, I said that the biblical Sodom and Gomorrah was right here. Right? That was the biblical Sodom and Gomorrah. Why do I say that? Because of what was there before. It was green. It was lush. It was beautiful. Until what? The Most High judged Sodom and Gomorrah. That's what it says in the Bible. And it's the same exact thing for what they call, what was it called? The Green Sahara. That's what it's called. Just type in Green Sahara. You have a field day with that. See how incredible the kingdoms were in the quote-unquote Green Sahara. So it really is not hard for the Most High to destroy a place. You can say, well, where's all the archaeological proof of Egypt there? Where is the archaeological proof of Sodom and Gomorrah? There is none. That's why no one can find it. But when you understand where the landmarks are, then you can find it and everything starts to make sense. So, let's move on. We're not going to move on because we're going to come back to this. There's a reason why I showed you this. We don't need to go there. I was just looking up deserts. So, Uluru Rock or Aries Rock, why is this so prevalent? Well, actually, that was a bad segue because, look, again, I have a bunch of tabs, but we're going to get back to it. I'll make sure I do. Yeah, this stuff's kind of out of order, but the reason I was talking about the Sahara before is because this area is very similar to the Sahara Desert in the middle of Australia. And guess what else is in the middle of Australia? I hope that this is the right tab. Aries Rock is also there. So this stuff should be noted that the most arid place is also the point that's on a ley line. And it's more than just a ley line. If I remember, and I have the tab open, then I'll show you what I mean. In fact, let me try to, oh, it's right, it should be right here. Hopefully it's right here. What is it? This large magnetic rock is known by geologists as an Enselberg, meaning literally island mountain. Basically, this is an isolated remnant left after the slow erosion of the original ancient mountain range. And this is a World Heritage Site, of course, right? But look at this. It is said by some to be located on a major planetary grid point, much like the Great Pyramid in Egypt, right? the same thing with Mount Shasta and Lake Titicaca, as well as one of the mountains in Tibet. I forgot which one it was. But all these are on planetary grids. Stonehenge is on one too. So there's a connection. There's already an Egyptian connection there. Now, what does the word Mizraim really mean? Or Mizri? Because it is assumed that this is a reference to the son of Ham. And it's not. It's never been. That's a cover-up, bro. It's a cover-up, and it makes so much sense. Because I told people that the people who started Egypt were the Canaanites. They're like, no, it's not. It's the sons of Mizraim. No, it was the Canaanites who started Egypt. Right? I'm going to show you where it says that. But Mizraim is not referring to the son of Ham. Let's check out what it means. The land known today as Egypt has remained a remarkable constant through the millennia in Africa's northeast corner. Right, Africa. The modern name Egypt is Greek, Egyptos, originating in the hieroglyphic Pi Kupta, palace of the Ka, right, the soul, the spirit of the god Ptah, called Misr in Arabic today. It was Misraim, Hebrew in the Old Testament, mentioned among the world's I'm drawing a blank right now. Initial. I don't know why. Whoa. Anyway, among the world's initial 70 nations in the table of nations of Genesis 10, Mizraim was listed with the sons of Ham who settled in Africa. Mizraim, dual of Mizr, seemingly reflects the dual nature of ancient Egypt. Egyptians called their country the two lands. The two lands. Now they're going to give their explanation afterward, but that's it. It's the two lands. And why is this referring to two lands? Because if I have it open, oh, see, I don't have the stuff in order, man. That's my bad. Okay, should be over here. Misr means country. The term can also mean fortress or castellated, which refers to the natural protective borders of Egypt, which protected the countries from invaders. Egypt, Misr, it means country or land, right? That's what Misr means. What do I have open over here? Some scholars think it likely that Mizraim is a dual form of the word Misr, meaning land, and was translated literally into ancient Egypt as Ta-we, or the two lands, by early pharaohs at Thebes, who later founded the Middle Kingdom. So you know what Miz means, right? Now what does Raim mean? Okay, we got dual. No, it's right here. So Misr means land. Now look at this. In Hebrew, the dual has been preserved in the case of the noun only, its suffix being ayim. So Misraim means the dual land or the two lands. Now what are the two lands? Is it talking about North and South America? Well, what's also a part of South America? Australia, going into Antarctica, Antarctica going to Australia. It's all one land. And that also would kind of include this land right here, but of course there must be some sort of boundary. But the reason being is just because it says two lands That doesn't necessarily mean that it's today's two lands, because they're different. The landscape doesn't necessarily look the same as how it did before. So I'm saying that Lower Egypt was here, and Upper Egypt was here as well as over here. Lower Egypt was known as being marshy, but specifically Sedgelands, which is native or very prevalent in Australia. Let's continue. Let's go back. So did you guys know that Australia used to be a rainforest? And just a little review, because we went over this already. But the Gondwana rainforest of Australia, formerly known as the Central Eastern Rainforest Reserves, are the most extensive area of subtropical rainforest in the world. In the world. A dry land like that has something so extensive, excuse me. That means that it used to be a giant rainforest. But what happened to the land? Something happened to the land of Australia or Egypt. Right? I don't really need to read this. Now, in the video that I just did, now it makes sense that the Amazon was a global agricultural empire. What do you think Joseph did? Oh man. And Joseph was in Upper Egypt. He was in South America and in Australia. Why? Because he was Pharaoh. Upper Egypt was associated with the kings. Right? Now, let me see. Yeah, and as you could see, this was all connected. Ancient rainforest traces found in Antarctica point to warm prehistoric world. Researchers found evidence of rainforests living near the South Pole 90 million years ago, which means it used to be a warm climate according to new findings published in the journal Nature. A joint team of researchers from Germany and UK found forest soil from the Cretaceous period within 900 kilometers of the South Pole. Further analysis of pollen, preserved roots, and spores showed that the world at the time was a lot warmer than the scientific community previously thought. Okay, I don't need to read all this mumbo jumbo, but pretty much it was a tropical climate. We've gone over this before, of course. Computer's being kind of slow. Let's continue. Scientists have discovered remains of a swampy, temperate rainforest that thrived in Antarctica, so-called 90 million years ago. This West Antarctic forest was just, we just pretty much read that. But again, this was a rainforest. This was similar to the Amazon, right? It was marshy. And now we get into the meat and potatoes. Genesis chapter 13, verse 10. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest to Zoar. Hold on. So, this was a lot in just one verse. So, he said that it was well watered there before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. So, the Most High sunk the garden. He sunk the land that the garden was in. And what did he do to Egypt? See, what did Sodom and Gomorrah face? It was turned into a desert. It was destroyed. Right? That's what happened to it. So, that's why I showed you before. What desert is like the Sahara? The interiors of Australia are like the Sahara Desert. And what did he say? Like the land of Egypt. So, is this saying, now I don't know if I'm reading this wrong, but is this saying that the land of Egypt used to be lush and now it isn't? And it's similar to what happened with Sodom and Gomorrah? So, a lush land turned into a wasteland of sand. Is that what it's saying? That wouldn't be too far-fetched to think, because that's exactly how the Most High punishes lands. And that's why I got the scripture for you guys. And after Enoch had prayed in this way, the Spirit of the Lord drew close upon Enoch, and the Lord said, the sands of the earth fill the division of the earth, and all of the tiny stones of Ebedel and sand are separate from one another, and a line of division between the land and the seas of the earth is shown forth by sand, and the contrast between the behavior of the righteous and the wicked is manifested when they are drawn to the sands of this division. And sand also exposes those without the sanctity of marriage, for it encroaches upon their lands and countries, to herald bitterness of fornications. And by contrast, sand expresses the nature of the value of living water, and the barrenness of the deserts of the earth. So sand is used to punish the wicked. Those who don't value the living water, who don't value the Messiah, who don't value life, who don't value the sanctity of marriage, etc. That's what he does. Now, again, what land is similar to Australia? Where are the deserts? Where's all the sand? You can see that there are major deserts here and here, right? There's a huge desert here. I don't necessarily know what this is, but this is why I was thinking that this could have been the land of Edom. But as you can see, huge desert in the middle of Australia. What was in the middle of Australia? What was that land? I don't know. I don't know. Let's continue. So, this is a map of Terra Australis Incognita, or a map of Antarctica. And as you can see here, actually, let's go to the other one. It's closer, easier to see. So you have Antarctica right here, or Terra Australis Incognita. So this wasn't called Antarctica, it's called Australia. Right? And Australia, or Australis, just means the southern land. That's all it really means. Right? And that's a big clue. It's a big clue. Now you have America right here. You have Patagonia, right? You have Terra del Fuego right here. But then we get to here. The Sista Quorum, Regio or region. So what is this? This means, this is a sort of flower. It means parrot's beak. Parakeet flower, parrot's flower, things of the sort, right? Now, where is it native to? Native to the Caribbean and South America. So what is it saying? What type of landscape was this? It's very similar to South America and the Caribbean. Right. I was looking up different words. Hey, the plot thickens because we still got a little bit more to show you. Now look at this. The account of Marco Polo's voyages in the second half of the 13th century added new elements to the idea Terra Australis. The countries visited by the Venetian were depicted on certain world maps from the beginning of the 16th century. That of Martin Waldseemüller indicated for the first time the places mentioned by the explorer, in particular, beach, the Great Southern Continent, about which the Chinese had spoken to Polo. So, Terra Australis, Australia, was known as the Great Southern Continent. And again, you guys could go look up what Australia really means. It means southern or south, right? I forgot to get that, but you guys can look that up, or I'll try to put it in the comment section if I can find it before I upload the video. This map depicted Java Minor or Major, which became a site of speculation concerning the South lands. So these are the South lands, right? The South lands. Brazil had been discovered by the Portuguese Cabral in the 1500s. On Waldseemüller's map, the name of Brasilia, Seville, Terra, Papagali, I don't know. Brazil, or land of the parrots, figures on the east coast of the outline of the South American continent. So now we're going to get into the word south. Now, where is it? Okay, so when he was in the land of Canaan, where did he go? And Abraham journeyed, going on still toward the south. Now, what is this word being used here? Negeb. From the unused root word meaning to be parched, the south from its drought, specifically the Negeb or southern district of Judah, occasionally Egypt. What? Egypt, the south, the great southern lands, right? The great southern lands. Egypt is also known as the south. Let's get some, hold up. Let me get this music running again. All right, we're back. So, the south is also talking about Egypt, also talking about some of the southern district of Judah, right? Fair enough. Let's get another one. Now, you guys are going to like this for all the family in the Pacific Islands. Let me see. Where is it? And of Naphtali, he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with flavor and full with the blessing of the Lord, possess thou the west and the south. Now, what words were used here? Yam, from an unused root word meaning to roar, a sea. So this is talking about a sea, right? But what location is this sea sometimes referring to? The west, or rarely the south, right? The west or south. That's what the Yam is, but the Yam's also a sea. What is the Great Sea? That's to the west of the land of Judah, also referred to as the Yam. That's just what south means. And Yam is also it has to do with Egypt, because that was the Egyptian god. The Egyptian god was Yam. So the word is Egyptian, right? What was the next word? That was the word for west, by the way, or southwest. And this word that's used next to Yam is Darom, of uncertain derivation, the south, poet, the south wind. So that's the tribe of Naphtali, the people of the Pacific Islands. But how are they in the south? But also the west. So does that mean that when you keep going south, you get to the west? Or when you keep going west, you get to the south? What was the queen that came to Solomon? Queen Sheba. Where did she come from? The south. So where's the south? We went over this in a few videos ago. Where's the south? So when we look back on this map, let's try to make sense of this. If this is the land of Judah right here, if this is Jerusalem right here in Cusco, when you go south, you get to where? You get to the desert of Zin. You get to Mount Sinai, you go to Zin, to Amalek, to Elam. Right? Then, when you keep going down, you end up in Antarctica. And if you keep going in that direction, you will start to get to this side. So you go down here, you're going down here. So you're still going south. Let's go back. Let me show you. No, that's not it. 1 second. Oh gosh. Okay, I was just about to reload it. Okay, so as I said, you keep going here, you will eventually get to the south. And you'll keep going into Australia. So that's why Egypt is known as the South. From both sides, whether it's China or the Americas, this is the Great South Land. That's why it's also associated with Egypt. Making sense? And that's also why the South is also referred to as the West, because when you go west to here, you're going south, right? It's true. So now we're going to get into Isaiah chapter 49, verse 12. Behold, these shall come from far, and lo, these from the north, and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. And I caught, man, all praises to the Most High, because I caught them in another lie. I caught them trying to hide something, and they ended up telling on themselves. But in the Chinese version of the Bible, Sinim translates to Quin country. Quin, or sin. And of course, this is known as sin because the Canaanites of old were in these lands, and this was known as sin, right? The Sinites were in these lands. Let's continue. So we have different translations, right? And this is what I was talking about. They told on themselves by trying to hide stuff. See, they will come from afar, some from the north, some from the west, and some from the region of Aswan. And this one says Egypt. And this one says Sini. So you have Aswan, Egypt, Sini, Sinim. Aswan, Sinim. South Country. This is all talking about the same place. The South Country. Persia. Sinim. Aswan. Egypt. It's all in the same direction. None of these are wrong. They're all the same thing. It's all the same thing. Why is that? Because what is a swan? Aswan is the ancient city of Sawanet, later known as Sini. See? And they're saying that this is a town that was where? Wait, where was it? Oh, okay. Was the frontier town of ancient Egypt facing the south, right? The south. South of Egypt. What's south of Egypt? Let's go back to the map. If you go in this direction, you're still going south when you come up here. So what's south of Egypt? Somewhere up here. Now let's see what Sinim means in the Strong's Concordance. Sinim, thorns, or a people living at the extremity of the known world, may be identified with the inhabitants of South China. Plural of an otherwise unknown name, Sinim, a distant Oriental region. The context requires that this must be a very remote country to be sought for either in the east or southern extremities of the world. I understand it to be the land of the Ceres, or Chinese, or Sinese. This very ancient and celebrated in the rest of that text. So you have one source saying, oh, Sinim is China, another saying Sinim is Egypt, or something south of Egypt. And you're saying, well, which one is right? Which one is wrong? They're both right. China is south of Egypt. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Let's finish up. Now let's look at this. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah according to their families, and the uttermost cities of the tribe of Judah. The uttermost. What is that? Let's get that. Kotse. An extremity used in a great variety of applications and idioms. After, border, brink, brim, edge, end. Infinite, frontier, outmost coast, quarter, shore. Uttermost part. Right? Cities of the tribe of Judah towards the coast of Edom, southward. Southward. Let's get that. Negeb, this is it's another. So this has to be around Egypt, or possibly around Egypt, right? Now we haven't gone over Ziklag yet, but one of these real southern cities is Ziklag. That's one of the southern cities of the tribe of Judah, right? At the extremity. Now, why is this so prevalent? I'm going to tell you why. I have Ziklag right here in Shanghai. But why do I have it there? Because, and we're gonna go over this when we finish going over the migration of the Jaredites. But before they crossed over, there was someone named Ziklag who said, who didn't want to cross over into the promised land pretty much. Right? And that area was known as Ziklag. So Aki and his people, they came over here. Ziklag, he stayed over here on this side of the world, the Far East. The Far East from where they came from, which is here. They came from around here and they kept going east. Right? They crossed the sea and then went east from there. That can only be here. Why? Because it says in the Bible that Ziklag pertains to the kings of Judah. Again, we're going to go through all of this, man. But there's a reason why these are counted as the southern cities. The uttermost southern cities. Because this literally is the uttermost south. It literally is. Especially if they're coming from the center of the world. South from here, like that's all the way down here. This is the south. Right? So, let me see what else I want to go over. So, you guys also should note that all these lands truly were connected. That includes the Pacific Islands and Australia. Australia and India, man, they were like these spots pretty much, because they just, like, Australia connected India and the Americas together, as well as the lands of Havilah up here, the lands of Joktan up here, going all the way towards Russia, China. So this was a spot, man. But yes, you keep going in this direction, you get to the south. Now, the last thing I wanted to read was, why am I saying that Egypt was smitten with sand? It was cursed with sand. It was destroyed. Why am I saying that? Now, I'm just going to note, there are hijacks in Pearl of a great price. But, hey, there's some truth in here, and we have to get it out. Now, I went over this in part 4 of my Out of the Clefts of the Rock series, where we speak on how Canaan was cursed with blackness, but we're going to touch on it one more time before I end the video. And again the Lord said unto me, Look, and I looked towards the north, and I beheld the people of Canaan, which dwell in tents. And the Lord said unto me, Prophesy. And I prophesied, saying, Behold, the people of Canaan, which are numerous, shall go forth in battle array against the people of Shum, and shall slay them, that they shall utterly be destroyed. And the people of Canaan shall divide themselves in the land, and the land shall be barren and unfruitful, and none other people shall dwell there but the people of Canaan. For behold, the Lord shall curse the land with much heat, and the barrenness thereof shall go forth forever. And there was a blackness that came upon all the children of Cain, that they were despised among all people. Let's skip down. And Enoch continued his preaching in righteousness unto the people of God. And it came to pass in his days that he built a city that was called the city of holiness, even Zion. And it came to pass that Enoch talked with the Lord. And he said unto the Lord, Surely Zion shall dwell in safety forever. But the Lord said unto Enoch, Zion have I blessed, but the residue of the people have I cursed. Who's the residue of people? And it came to pass that the Lord showed unto Enoch all the inhabitants of the earth. And he beheld, and lo, Zion in process of time was taken up into heaven. And the Lord said unto Enoch, Behold, mine abode forever. And Enoch also beheld the residue of the people that were the sons of Adam. And they were a mixture of all the seed of Adam, save it was the seed of Cain. For the seed of Cain were black, and had not place among them. Hold on. So, how does this make sense if the first parents were very brown with black hair? So, when the book of Remembrance says that the record was quote unquote good enough, that Joseph Smith's record was good enough, what is it talking about? See, that book of Waspe says the same thing. It says the cursed people are black and the blessed people are white. So how come we can't find any white people who are holding any sort of prestige, so any sort of moral uprightness among these ancient cultures? How come all of them are cannibals? All of them are men of the caves, beasts of the field? And people get upset with me when I talk about color and things like that. Listen, man, I'm not the one who made it about color. You're pointing your sword at the wrong person. Your enemy should be these people who are writing this nonsense in here, because they probably saw white and they got triggered. See, this truly is a battle against the natural peoples and the created ones, or the cursed ones. So that's why it is a quote-unquote black versus white thing. It has been this whole time. Nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is new under the sun. So if you're going to get mad at someone, get mad at the scriptures. Get mad at here. It does not make any sense why leprosy would be a curse, and having blonde hair is a curse, and having red, pink skin is a curse, and all of a sudden the black people are the curse. That doesn't make any sense. This is Mormon doctrine because the first Mormons made it up. I'm not going to say Joseph Smith himself made it up, but the people around him made it up. Joseph Smith was a Gentile who was supposed to preserve our records, and he did a good enough job. But because of the wickedness of the people, it kept a lot of our people out of these books. And I can see why they are kept out of the books. Because why would you want to read this? It doesn't make any sense. But yes, the Canaanites and the seed line of Cain, as I've been saying, are black. Are white. That's who they were. And that's probably who they are today. So that's all I have. Again, just because you're a certain color today, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're of that lineage. And even if you are, if you love the Most High, He's gonna love you. He does love all of His creations. Don't get it twisted. But also you need to know who the forefathers are, because it ain't white people. It's not who are the righteous seed. Who are the sons of quote unquote Adam? Really Yatzaquat. Who? So I hope you guys got a lot from this. We're gonna continue this build, but I really do believe that this was Egypt. Australia's Egypt. Of course, Upper Egypt. And that would probably include some of India as well.